Mueller is a true never-Trumper. After hours of mild reaction from his advisors, President Trump finally spoke today about the now former special counsel and his extraordinarily rare parting words. Starting with a tweet just before 5 a.m., he began with a confusing admission saying, "I had nothing to do with Russia helping me to get elected," before declaring it all presidential harassment. Roughly 4 hours later, it seemed the president had changed his mind. He stopped to talk to reporters before heading to Colorado to deliver the commencement speech at the Air Force Academy. He said Russia did not help him get elected, and then he continued his attacks against Mueller.
No, Russia did not help me get elected. You know who got me elected? You know who got me elected? I got me elected. Russia didn't help me at all. I think Mueller is a true never-Trumper. He's somebody that dislikes Donald Trump. He's somebody that didn't get a job that he requested, that he wanted very badly, and then he was appointed.
All right, let's start off the White House. There's a lot to unpack here. NBC Hans Nichols joins me there. The president is off in Colorado, but he definitely felt a need to get something off his chest today.
Well, he spoke to us for a little more than 15 minutes before he left, Ali, and it's clear the president feels that Robert Mueller was out to get him. And while he claims to be vindicated by the report, he also says that Robert Mueller was always conflicted. Now, the latest bit of news we have on this advancing the story is from William Barr, the Attorney General. He's done an interview with CBS where he's repeating his point that basically he and Mueller, that's to say Barr and Mueller, have a dispute on whether or not Mueller was going to be able to make a conclusion. Listen to what he told CBS.
We saw the special counsel yesterday make that statement. He analyzed 11 instances where there were possible obstruction. And then said that he really couldn't make a decision. Do you agree with that interpretation?
I personally felt he could have reached a decision.
In your view, he could have reached a conclusion.
Right, he could have reached a conclusion. The opinion says you cannot indict a president while he's in office, but he could have reached a decision as to whether it was criminal activity. But he had his reasons for not doing it, which he explained, and I'm not going to, argue about those reasons, but when he didn't make a decision, the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, and I felt it was necessary for us as the heads of the department to reach that decision.
Well, I mean, he seemed to suggest yesterday that there was another venue for this, and that was Congress.
Well, I'm not sure what he was suggesting, but, the Department of Justice doesn't use our powers of investigating crimes as an adjunct to Congress.
Ali, here's the asymmetrical nature of this debate going forward, and that is Robert Mueller doesn't want to talk. He's made that very clear. William Barr doesn't feel similarly constrained. And so from the very beginning of this, when Barr framed what Mueller was going to say in that initial report, you've seen Barr willing to go to the cameras, talk about this, and put his spin on it, and we are seeing it through William Barr's lens. Bob Mueller feels constrained. And Bob Mueller made it very clear yesterday that he is done talking about this. He doesn't even want to testify before Congress. Ali?
All right, Hans, thanks very much. Hans Nichols.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.